Like, comment, and subscribe. Hey, it's Ashley, or AMC, and we're back with more Marry My Husband, the web novel. The last time that we went over the chapters, Suman fell for Minwon's shameless proposal, and they are getting married. Oh, and Suman got Minwon's dad to get them an apartment, and Minwon is already scheming how he's going to get some money for him to throw into the stock market and become rich. Okay, he's going to become rich. And they're at their wedding, and nobody showed up for Suman, except for Jiwon. But we don't know if she actually went back to greet her. But we did see Minwon seen Jiwon and Ji-hyuk, and his friends also seen them and said, "Hey, Minwon, you're a fucking liar. You said that Minwon was nerdy and dowdy and plain. This bitch is hot fire, okay? Hot as fuck. And your boss, he's hot too. We don't believe you." But we're on chapter 66, Wedding Road 2. Ji-hyuk had become quiet in the car, and he stayed silent inside the venue as well. Not only did he not ask Jiwon any questions, but he also didn't excessively try to read her mood or be overly attentive. Jiwon thought it was a good thing she came here with him. She felt like she had a crutch she could use to walk in a place that would have made her a little anxious and uncomfortable if she were alone. "I'm going to stop by the bride's waiting room," she said. Ji-hyuk turned at her words. "I'll wait outside." She gave him a small, appreciative smile. "I'll be out quickly." Ji-hyuk nodded and moved aside to the hallway next to the waiting room. Ji-won walked slowly towards the door. In her memory, she saw a lonely bride sitting like a doll with a bouquet while staring at the wall in front of her. Suman looked just like Ji-won had on her wedding day in the past. Suman had arrived just as the ceremony started because of traffic. Ji-won didn't have any family or friends to come to the venue. Her colleagues had come, but most of them just greeted Minwon and went inside. "The bride should prepare to enter soon," an employee at the venue announced at the time. Suman turned to the entrance and met eyes with Jiwon. "Jiwon!" Suman's face stiffened for a moment, then quickly returned to normal. "Why are you so late? I was worried you weren't coming." "Traffic was bad," Jiwon replied. "Were you waiting for a long time?" The venue employee and wedding assistant helped Suman stand up. The train of the long dress followed her. "Of course," Suman said sweetly. "Who else will catch my bouquet?" Jiwon was curious. "What were you thinking when you caught my bouquet that day?" "Your dress is pretty," Jiwon said as she smiled wryly, scanning the dress that Jaeok had most definitely chosen. In the past, Jiwon had wanted to wear a charming mermaid-lined dress, but she wasn't even able to try one on because Jaeok said that a daughter-in-law of the Park family could never wear something so shameful. Suman was wearing the same exact dress Jiwon had. She remembered it all like yesterday. How had she suffered through the long officiant's message because of the lace covered all the way up her neck? Ugh. Now Suman was the one fidgeting with the lace. "It's so hot and uncomfortable," she sighed. "I'll have to bear it until the ceremony is over, I guess." The employee hurried the shyly smiling Suman again. "Wait, you must go now, ma'am. There are 10 minutes left." Suman nodded and smoothed the full skirt of her dress. I'll go now. See you later, Jiwon. Ji-hyuk didn't even greet Suman when he saw her outside of the hallway. He had done the same thing at Jiwon's wedding. He had stood at the exact location by himself and simply stared at Jiwon when she walked down the aisle. Jiwon couldn't read anything from his face. His expression stayed with her for a while, but it was forgotten without a trace after her exhausting marriage life. Thank you for waiting, she said. He looked at her wordlessly. Jiwon's phone rang. She pulled it out to check the caller and answered after a moment of hesitation. Hello? Where are you? Eunho's voice was mixed with the buzz of multiple people talking. I'm at a colleague's wedding, Jiwon replied. Why? I'm at a high school classmate's wedding. Oh, there you are. What? 3 o'clock from where you're standing, the white column? Jiwon turned around as Eunho instructed. He waved at her from in front of a large column. What are you doing here? Jiwon asked dumbfoundedly through the phone. GA told me to come here and stand next to you so you wouldn't lose face, he said, looking right at her as he spoke through his phone. His eyes shifted. Looks like I was a little late, though. At the same moment, Ji-hyuk also noticed Eunho. When their eyes met, Eunho closed his phone and walked in their direction. Nice to see you, Eunho said to Ji-hyuk. I didn't know I'd see you here. Nice to see you, too. Neither Eunho, who was holding out his hand, nor Ji-hyuk, who politely shook it, seemed to think the situation was nice at all. If this was the Middle Ages, they would have pulled out their swords and started dueling. Just a minute, Mr. Yu. Jiwon excused herself from Ji-hyuk and pulled Eunho to a slightly removed location. What are you doing? Why are you here? Do you think I would have come to give her gift money? Eunho smirked. Well, I did give 30,000 won out of politeness. You think the problem here is how much you paid? No, not at all. Eunho's voice turned lower. Not compared to the fact that Suman is marrying your boyfriend. His tone had an edge to it. Jiwon's face and neck flushed. I didn't want to be remembered as a pitiful woman who lost her boyfriend to her friend. But here we are. It was after we broke up. It doesn't matter to me. She straightened her neck and spoke in an even more composed tone. He grinned lightly. Looks like it. What about GA? Is she coming? Jiwon didn't think she was, but she asked the question. She asked the question anyway to change the subject. She said she's almost here earlier. Her eyes widened. GA's coming? With the other girls? Yeah. Did you tell her about who Suman's marrying? That the bastard's your ex-fiance? Someone passing by must have overheard because they blatantly looked Jiwon up and down. Jiwon lifted her finger to her lips to shush him. Yeah, that, she hissed. Of course I did. Eunho playfully raised the corner of his mouth. And what did she say? Not much. She said they're coming to eat at the buffet. They definitely aren't people to simply eat at the buffet. Anxious, she said goodbye to Eunho and went to the hall with Ji-hyuk. She planned to stop her friends immediately if she caught a whiff of anything suspicious. She had come this far. She couldn't let things be ruined because of unplanned variables. The wedding hall was filled with people trying to see the ceremony from outside and guests going inside to sit down. Jiwon saw a group of guests who stood out over all the others. The group also discovered Ji-hyuk and Jiwon at the same time. Hello, boss. Sinu was already scary enough, but he was wearing a black suit that made him look even more threatening. He made a full bow towards Ji-hyuk. It was noticeable, but Ji-hyuk was slightly taken aback. The other guests watched the group. They seemed stunned as well. What the heck are you guys wearing? Jiwon asked astonishingly. Her 3 friends looked gorgeous today. The problem was that they were dressed for a nightclub, not a wedding. What's wrong with our outfits? GA pretended not to know what she was talking about in her extremely tight white skinny jeans and cropped t-shirt. Oh my gosh, Jiwon, you look so pretty today. Senna smiled innocently, the studded tall stilettos beneath her miniskirt flashing extravagantly. Where's Eunho? We're going to go in with him, so you should head in first. Eunho, over here. Yoonhyo lifted her hand and waved it. Booty shorts that were covered by her loose t-shirt revealed their presence. Jiwon was relieved that their friends still had some sense to wear pants at least. Why are you here? Jiwon asked. You didn't tell me you were coming. Well, why would I tell you? GA shrugged her shoulders and smiled wickedly. We're not here to see you. We came to see that bastard and that bitch's family. Pretend to not know us and just sit there elegantly. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Okay. The location where the bride was standing before entering the hall was blocked by a shutter door. Suman listened to the noises outside with the bouquet in her hands. Her uncle stood by her side to escort her. He had reluctantly agreed to stand in for her father, whom she didn't even want to think about. Now, for today's star of the show, the most beautiful bride in the world, the MC declared loudly at the same time. The shutters opened and a bright spotlight showed down on her. Suman looked slightly down and took small steps in rhythm with the music, her uncle shuffling beside her. She saw Minwon looking in her direction at the end of the aisle. One step, then another. She slowly approached Minwon. When they were close to the point that she could touch him, if she extended her arms, Suman realized his gaze had been on Jiwon, not her. The beautiful bride and the handsome groom have finally met. The MC said a statement that was neither special nor moving. Suman let go of her uncle's hand. She grabbed Minwon's hand and whispered to him, "Look forward, Oppa." With difficulty, Minwon looked away from Jiwon and turned around. The officiant was so boring that Suman almost yawned. The guests pretended to listen at the beginning, but soon began to fidget and talk amongst themselves. Jiwon sat in the section for the bride's guests and watched the backs of the groom and bride. What's this? Oh, with this, you are now officially married. Finally, the officiant was done speaking. The bored guests brightened. Mr. Yu, Jiwon spontaneously murmured in a small voice, will you put your arm around my shoulders? Ji-hyuk froze, then raised his hand to rest just above Jiwon's shoulders. There was a tiny gap between his hand and her shoulder, but if someone looked, it seemed like his arm was wrapped around her. Minwon's gaze fixed on her shoulder the moment he turned around. Jiwon saw Minwon's face crumple. She saw his eyes shake with jealousy and rage, and she saw Suman tightly intertwine her fingers in his. Once they were her everything. Without Minwon and Suman, her world had nothing. Now, the two of them were holding hands into a fiery pit. You'll become each other's hell. She subtly raised a corner of her mouth. Suman would never divorce Minwon because of others' opinions and her mother's strong will. Moreover, she wouldn't be able to let him go because she would think Minwon was going to scurry straight to Jiwon. Cancer cells will be waiting for you at the end of your shitty marriage. Ooh. Ooh. I thought that was the end of the chapter, but it's not. Woo, woo. Okay. Finally becoming a real couple after many trials, Minwon and Suman walked down the aisle. Jiwon applauded them sincerely when they kissed. We'll be taking the pictures now. The traditional picture taking began after the ceremony was over. As the guests began to gather around the couple, the clamorous atmosphere froze when Jiwon and her friends walked from the bride's guest section. The photographer hesitated. You all are the bride's friends, right? GA smacked her gum at the photographer. Duh, not just friends. Friends since balls. Since what? Friends since balls. Close friends who've seen each other naked since birth. Jayoke had been looking disapprovingly at them amid the guests for a while, but her eyes widened in horror at GA's words. Senna giggled. What do you mean? Friends since balls? We don't have balls. A few people coughed to contain their laughter. I know, right? Why are you talking about balls when you don't have any? Mister, do I get in line here? Yoonhyo asked as she got in place at the very front row. The photographer seemed to want to send the very conspicuous three women to the back, but it was impossible because the bride's guest side was empty. If you're catching the bouquet, please step up, the photographer shouted in an excessively bright voice. Everyone focused on Jiwon when she walked forward. Please throw it in on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The bouquet that was supposed to be caught by the bride's closest friend floated up and landed in Jiwon's arms. The camera flashed, signaling the moment Jiwon would forever be marked in Minwon and Sumin's wedding album, just as Sumin had been in hers. Ooh. Ooh. So she actually caught it this time. Arr. Sumin kicked off her heels the moment she entered the dressing room. The wedding assistant, who came to help her take off her wedding dress, clicked her tongue at Sumin's attitude. Why is the happy bride in such a bad mood? Is it any of your business? Just take this off, Sumin snarled. She tore at the veil, threatening to rip the delicate lace at any moment. The assistant quickly took out the pins and took off her veil and dress. Sumin glowered at the mirror and cursed under her breath. Those deranged bitches! How dare they come here and make a mess? Do they still think I'm their lackey? I'm going to gouge their eyes out. The assistant shrank back. Oh my, how scary. What's it to you, lady? Sumin raged in annoyance and kicked the petticoat she just took off. Just then, an angry Jayoke huffed into the dressing room and turned pale at the scene. Sumin, why are you acting so ungracefully? She barked. The corner of Sumin's eyes instantly turned down like a poor puppy's. This lady keeps on pulling my hair. The little general gets surprised when it hurts, even a little bit. All right, I get it. Enough about that. Jayoke waved her hand and sat down in the corner of the dressing room, crossing her legs with a scowl. Are those ladies really your close friends? The elders are having a fit right now, saying it was a mistake to bring you in as Minwon's daughter-in-law. Sumin bit the insides of her mouth. She had pestered her mom's family because she didn't want to hear people say that. She had begged her relatives to keep their mouths shut. If not, Sumin couldn't even dare to dream of marrying an employee who worked at a large corporation. I did all that, but those bitches came to shit on my wedding. They're not my friends. The one who caught my bouquet is. Oh, that too. Why did she catch your bouquet? How does that make any sense? Are you going to take responsibility if Minwon has had bad rumors spread about him? I almost fainted from shock. Do you even know how to think? Jayoke reproached furiously as she shook her finger at her. It was a volume that was incomparable to when Sumin threw her tantrum earlier. Oh shit. That's the end of the chapter. Ooh, ooh. The tea is still spilling. It's still going. It's still going. I love that they talked about the balls because I know I said I was going to stop talking about them K-drama in the webtoon, but the part where they're talking about balls was in the drama, and I didn't get it at first because in the web novel, which is the first thing that I read or that I've seen where I got into Marry My Husband, they didn't talk about that. It just showed them going to crash the wedding. And I can't remember what they said, but I don't remember them saying balls. But in the drama, I remember them kept saying balls, but they were like eyeballs in the drama. And this they're talking about like they're like, no, we're talking about testicles, okay? Balls, okay? Those things men have. But I like how they kept saying it over and over again to make sure everybody heard them. But I was hoping that one of them would have said like super loud, how are you going to make your friend who you slept with her boyfriend or her fiance and then got pregnant by him catch your bouquet? But that might still be a possibility. Jaeok going off on her is hilarious, but it's still you're like Sumin is still like, this is way better than my mom though, from what it seems like. But she is starting to belittle her, like she said her mom does. So we'll see how much Sumin says that she'd rather live with Jaeok than her own mom. Um, I think her little mantra didn't work because she's seen the whole time that Minwon was staring at Jiwon, and we haven't got Minwon's perspective of him seeing Ji-hyuk with his arm around Jiwon at the wedding. But I'm ready. I'm so ready for it. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. If you do want to drop an emoji, um, what's a good one? A ball, a basketball, a baseball. But thanks so much for listening. If you would like the well, oh my gosh. It's ignore that. um I'll be back with chapter 67, which is Wedding Road 3. So there's still a chance they may say something about Sumin marrying Jiwon's ex-fiance and her being her best friend. You never know. Oh, also, Eunho showing up. Um, that's crazy. I'm happy they told him though, just in case. Uh, but I'm pretty sure Ji Hyuk would have made sure he came with Jiwon. But anyways, thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, it's Ashley or AMC Me, and I'm back with chapter 67 of the web novel Marry My Husband, and we're on the Wedding Road, part 3. Ma'am, please calm down. The bride needs to change and greet the guests. The wedding assistant held a hanbok jeongro, the upper garment of the traditional hanbok, as she freely tried to stop Jaeok. She had seen all kinds of things doing her job for 10 years, but this household was definitely in her top 5 most dramatic weddings. Just change your outfit, Jaeok ordered. I'll be here. The assistant hesitated. How can a new bride change in front of her mother-in-law? A mother-in-law is her mom too, Jaeok snapped. Answer me while you change, Sumin. What's going on? Sumin was exhausted. When she thought about it, she didn't need to be obedient to Jaeok anymore. Her father-in-law was on her side, and they had already registered their marriage before the ceremony. What was Jaeok going to do now? Sumin lifted her chin. What's it to you who I give the bouquet to? Jaeok's drawn-on eyebrows turned into upside-down V's. Upside-down V's. What did you say? It's my bouquet, Sumin said. I'm giving away something that belongs to me, so why are you scolding me? Did I throw a bouquet made from flowers in your room? The wedding assistant lost the will to stop them. From her experience, it was best to stay quiet and leave immediately after her job was done, with households as mad as this one. Did you forget your place after eating something spoiled? How dare you talk back to me? Don't scream. The little general will be scared. Little general. That's all you say at the drop of a hat. What's wrong with you? Jaeok demanded. You're not even pretending to listen when your mother-in-law is speaking. When did I not listen? Ow! Sumin held her perfectly fine stomach and moaned. Ow! My stomach hurts! Ow! Her stomach must be cramping, ma'am. Please step out for now, the assistant pleaded. The bride will sit a bit and leave when she's feeling better. An eldest son was more precious than gold. Jaeok suspected Sumin might be faking it, but her eyebrows just twitched. Come out as soon as possible. You need to greet the adults before they finish eating. Yes, mother, Sumin replied, her hand still holding her stomach. Jaeok rubbed her temples as she came outside. Who would think that crass girl inside was the same innocent young lady who practically was wagging her tail? For the first time, she began to regret urging Minwon to marry Sumin. It's too late now, girlie. It's too late. They're legally wed. This place has good beef tartare. It would be killer with some raw egg yolk and a glass of soju, Yoon-hyo said, lifting a chopstick full of beef into her mouth and chewing. The table surrounded by the three women was filled to the brim with a full-course buffet. With some sprouts on top, too, G.A. added. Senna nodded in agreement. But, G.A., what? Is it okay for you to act like that in front of Mr. Sinu? Senna asked. I haven't seen him since balls. Shut up, G.A. warned in a low voice as she popped open a bottle of soju. She was feeling like day drinking today. I told you to learn to read the room. Hush and eat this. Yoon-hyo popped a lychee she brought for dessert into Senna's mouth. Erg! Blech! Hey! Senna spit it into a tissue and washed her mouth with water. Why didn't you unpeel it before giving it to me? You should be grateful. I didn't unpeel it. You should be grateful I didn't unpeel it, you. She abandoned love for a friend, but you're pouring salt into the wound when you should be applauding her. Yoon-hyo scalded. Gosh, I can't believe I'm still friends with you after 10 years. 10 years. You shut up, too, G.A. said. The two of them stopped bickering. G.A. tossed some soju that was warm from being out of the refrigerator into her mouth. Yoon-hyo clicked her tongue in pity. That's why I told you not to bring him. We needed him, G.A. said. You should always have someone who can take the hits when you go to a fight. We could have had Eunho do that, Yoon-hyo argued. G.A. snorted. Have you seen him? He's so frail that he'll fly away when you flick him. G.A., don't you think your standards for bulk are too high? Senna asked carefully. Yoon-hyo shoved another lychee in Senna's mouth. It was unpeeled. Blah! Blah! I said to stop, Senna said. Are you the leader? Should I listen to you and stop? Yoon-hyo said. Both of you shut up and be quiet. Is this girl sewing her own hanbok? Why isn't she coming out? G.A. said, shaking her head. She muttered to herself that they hadn't changed for the better even after all this time and poured herself another glass. She must be done making it. There she is, Senna said, pointing. Sumin was walking into the buffet hall with Minwon. Senna waved at her with a bright smile. The smile remained on Sumin's face, but the corner of her mouth twitched. She definitely saw me, Senna said, raising both hands and shaking them passionately. Everyone near them stared at her, except for Sumin, who was avoiding looking at her. Yoon-hyo pulled down Senna's hands. Don't act so silly. Let her walk around and say hi. In the meantime, Sumin walked with Minwon, going around table by table to greet people. She didn't spare a single glance at the table of women, but they weren't ones to stay still. The moment Sumin finished greeting the table behind theirs, Senna burst up and hugged her from the back. Sumin, your hanbok is so pretty, Senna exclaimed. It looks like something that was made when your mom was married. Sumin disgustingly shoved Senna off. Let go of me. What's wrong with you? What? We're friends. Senna's expression turned downcast. Ga clicked her tongue, her legs crossed, bobbing up and down. What's wrong, Suman? Aren't we friends? Friends since balls. Suman's face turned red as lava. She pushed Minwan away, telling him to greet another table. However, Jaeok heard the filthy phrase from next to her, and her eyebrows turned into upside-down V's again. It wouldn't be weird if they hopped off her shoulders and started singing the alphabet. Friends who've seen each other naked, Yoon-hyo said, helping. The V's twitched intensely. I need to kick out those uncultured wenches. Jaeok looked around and saw a stocky wedding hall employee. She waved him over. Is there something you need? The employee asked. Those 3 ladies over there. We didn't invite them. Chase them out now, Jaeok said. Pardon? It's not our authority to chase guests out. They're not guests. They crashed the wedding and are being a nuisance. Are you going to leave them alone? Why? We won't pay for the venue if this is how you're going to be. The employee looked at GA's table uneasily. It was true they didn't seem normal. Then I'll speak with them. Just a moment. He hesitantly inched towards them and slightly bowed. Excuse me, you're here for Mr. Park's wedding today, right? Yeah, Yoon-hyo answered. I'm afraid you have to leave, the employee said. We received a complaint. Who put in the complaint? Senna asked, resting her chin in her hands adorably. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you. Ji-hae leaned back and crossed her arms. You're going to chase us out without telling us who want us out? The employee stood there, sweating awkwardly. It's a request from the groom's side, so if you could please... The groom's side? We're friends since balls with the bride. Yoon-hyo popped an unpeeled lychee in her mouth and chewed it vehemently. She was using extraordinary jaw strength. Suman, you tell him. Isn't that right? Friends, Suman snapped. Leave now. If you don't, I'm calling the police. Police? Suman, that's not nice, Senna pouted. Ga pulled the sad Senna down and stood up instead. I see you don't have any friends. I knew that'd be the case when you married your friend's fiance. Oh shit, she did it. Shut up. Let's talk outside. Suman pulled Ga's arm, but she wasn't strong enough. How could you throw a bouquet to the friend you stole a man from? Ga asked. I wish I could arrange flowers in your eyes. What are you doing? Suman asked the employee. Chase these people out. No one in the hall was eating anymore. Even the guests who were putting food on their plates in the line were murmuring among themselves with their tongs in their hands. Please come with us. You can't do this here. Ga glared at the employee who touched her shoulder. What are you doing? I wasn't going to make a scene at someone's celebratory event, but you're going too far. We received a complaint to send you out because you weren't invited. Here's an invitation. A half invitation came out of Senna's bag, but we were asked to send them out because they weren't invited. Ooh. The employee hesitated, taken aback. We received a complaint, he began hesitantly. Miss Ga! A powerful voice suddenly rang in the hall. Sinu sauntered towards the employee at a running speed. He looked like a bandit who was facing his parents' enemies. Ga's tone suddenly turned docile. Mr. Senu, I thought you went home. I'm sorry, Miss Ga. I was escorting Mr. Eunho somewhere and the conversation ran long. Anyhow, Sinu turned towards the employee. Is there a problem? Senna's overwhelming bulk, crew cut, and scary expression made the frozen employee stand up straight. We received a complaint and a request to send these women away from the groom's side. Apparently, they weren't invited. Then it's fine as long as they're not the groom's guests. Sinu reached into his breast pocket. The employee stepped back, thinking he was going to pull out a knife. However, it was a credit card that appeared. Use this to pay for the food. Don't bring up the groom or whoever again. From this moment on, this table has nothing to do with the wedding. Problem solved. Mr. Senu, GA's eyes turned into hearts. Senna and Yoonhyu covered their eyes, unable to bring themselves to watch. Understood. I'll speak of this to my higher ups, the employee said. What do you need to speak to your higher ups about? We're just customers here to eat. Take the card. Sinu said gruffly. He took off his jacket and covered GA's shoulders with it. The jacket was as large as he was, and it completely covered GA up. The AC is cold. Sorry. I didn't mean to say it like that. The AC is cold. Miss GA, please sit down and eat comfortably, Sinu said. It's fine. GA stretched her hand out to take back the card from the employee. I'm done eating here. I saw my friend, so I'm leaving now. Really? It's not because of the groom? Senu glared at Jaeok. He was accusing her of being behind all this. I did what I came to do, GA told him. She turned to stroke Suman's head. She was frozen, standing there with her fists clenched. Congratulations on picking up your friend's trash, Suman, GA said. It was like shit seeing you, and I hope we never see each other again. Damn, I love GA. I love all three of them. Oh my god. Okay. All four of them actually. Because Senu, that was hot. Okay. Ji-hyuk's car was parked behind the wedding venue. Ji-won put down the sun visor to cover her eyes and relaxed in the soft seat. Can I rest here a bit? She asked. Sure. Then I'm going to take care of some business really quick. Ji-hyuk turned on the air conditioner so Ji-won could rest comfortably and stepped out. Men were smoking by the entrance of the parking garage, peeked at him. Boss, a conspicuous bulk of muscle walked through the gazes towards him. You're leaving now? The bulk of muscle bowed at a 90-degree angle. Ji-hyuk quickly grabbed Sinu's shoulders and righted him. Then he slightly bowed at the three women next to him. I wasn't able to greet you earlier. My name is Ji-hyuk Yu. I work in the same department as Miss Kang. I've heard a lot about you from Sinu. I'm G.A. Han, Ji-won's hometown friend. Yoonhyu Seo. Sena Lee. Nice to meet you. The three of them exchanged polite greetings that seemed to contradict their unladylike outfits. In that short instance, their women's intuition quickly scanned Ji-hyuk's appearance, personality, wealth, and character. Sorry, Eunho. I'll introduce you to a nice girl. Ji-ae liked Ji-hyuk more than the pretty-looking Eunho. Mr. Sinu compliments you so much. It's fate that we meet like this, Ji-ae said. So why don't we get some soju together next time, with Ji-won, of course. The suggestion struck the bull's eyes in Ji-hyuk's tree-like heart. If it's all right, you two should come too. Drinks on me. Senna's eyes sparkled. I'm holding you to that, department head you. Why are you calling him that? Is he your department head? Yoonhyu said seriously, poking Senna in the rib. Then we'll accept graciously, sir, Ji-ae said. Ji-hyuk quickly covered his mouth and looked away. He almost laughed. He could count on one hand the number of people who made him laugh like this in his entire life. I'll be the first. Boss, I need to take Miss Ji-ae and her friends home. Boss, I'll be off first. He was grateful Sinu took care of the goodbyes. Ji-hyuk watched the car he lent Sinu leave the parking lot and return to his own car. Ji-won's tired, closed eyes opened at the sound of the door. I'm done resting, Ji-won said. Then let's go. Where? To feed Pang. A smile appeared on Ji-won's lips. The corners of Ji-hyuk's mouth lifted faintly. He quickly straightened his face. Mr. Yu? Ji-won said. Ji-hyuk stopped backing Ji-hyuk stopped backing up carefully and turned to Ji-won. Yes? Thank you. It was on the way. Not that. I'm thanking you for letting me use you, Ji-won said, her long lashes fluttering. They seemed like small fluttering flowers to Ji-hyuk. Ji-won continued. Instead, I'll make you a promise. If you ever ask me for help, I'll do my best to help you. So she paused, giving him a smile. If you ever need me, you can use me too. Oh, that chapter was good. That chapter was good. Um, so excited. I'm happy that they did blurt out as they intended to tell Suman she's a piece of shit for taking her friend's fiance and telling her she's a piece of shit. And she picked up trash. Jaeok, I'm surprised she's still conscious. I'm pretty sure. I thought she was going to have a heart attack and pass out. Minwon, you didn't hear anything from him. We didn't get his side at all during the wedding, other than when he first see Jiwon and Jihyuk, and when he was staring at her during the whole ceremony. Um, our girls, Jie, Yoonhyu, and Senna, and Senu, all of them. That was fantastic. All of them. That they made that scene, and I loved it. I'm happy that Ji Hyuk already likes Jiwon's new friends. And it seems like hopefully they come up more in the book because they are a hoot. Even their like interactions with each other are hilarious. Um, but yeah, let's see some of the comments are. Went down on entertaining rabbit hole to learn about balls, friends. To anyone else who is unfamiliar with that expression, it essentially means close friends since childhood. It's a reference to non sexual nudity among young children who are too young to care about nudity taboos. Yeah, like when you would shower when you were a kid and your parents freaking had pictures of you and your cousin or somebody and you're in the tub. Balls. Balls, friends. Um, if ever three people belong together, is Suman, her husband, and her mother-in-law. And the next three is Jiwon's three new friends. They let rip on Suman. She would never live down the shame of being exposed at her own. Oh no, she's not going to live that down. Minwon's mom should listen to her mama. Minwon's mom should listen her mama boy to not take Sumin. She also needs to check her background too. She won't. It's too late. She's too excited about having a grandson. That's not gonna come. And I'm pretty sure Sumin's about to use that. Her grabbing her stomach, acting like that, is saying she had like a miscarriage or something. Since she was never pregnant. Let's see. The best thing about this wedding fiasco is that Jiwon did nothing to ruin it. She didn't. She sat back and watched the chaos. The disaster was all Suman's own fault. She stole a horrible groom and chose a nasty mother-in-law. She upset her old school friends with her lies. Jiwon just arrived looking stunning and left looking gorgeous, and Suman was left miserable, as she deserved. Exactly. Exactly that. Jiwon did. She came in looking like a baddie, looking fantastic, leaving fantastic. But that's the end of chapter 67. Next up will be chapter 68, Campus Spring. See you then. And we're back with chapter 68, Campus Spring. The wedding was the definition of a shit show. Minwon wanted to erase the once-in-a-lifetime event from his memory. You happy now? He asked. He gritted his teeth from where he was driving the wedding car. Jae Young was supposed to do it originally, but Minwon had sent him home. Of course, Suman's response was nothing but cordial. How is this my fault? She whined. How many times do I have to say they're not my friends? They are. No, they're not, but this wouldn't have happened if you hadn't given Jiwon a wedding invitation. I almost dropped dead when she caught the bouquet. He snapped back. Did you see my mom's face? My mom isn't even in the best health, you know. Are you going to be responsible if she faints from stress? Suman scowled. I'm going to faint before she does. Stop. Jaeok wasn't one to faint. She would probably be the one to make someone else faint. Of course, what would I say to you? Minwon muttered to himself. He habitually added a fuck to the end, and Suman glared at him. Can't you stop with the cursing? She said sourly. Minwon slid down the window and not even wanting to reply. The weekend traffic was as jammed as his frustrated head. Just then, a sleek black luxury car came gliding down the street and stopped at the intersection. Oh, nice car, he muttered to himself. Suman heard his quiet remark and stretched her neck out to look. Is that car expensive? You couldn't buy one even if you sold yourself, Minwon said standoffishly as he continued to observe the car. The nice car slid down its windows, as if conscious of the gazes on it. Minwon couldn't believe his eyes when the driver's neatly styled hair and high nose were revealed. What's that punk doing here? He growled. From the driver's seat of the luxury car, Ji-hyuk slowly turned his head. Minwon recalled how he was touching Ji-won's shoulder during the ceremony and gritted his teeth. Sumin put her hand on his tightly clenched hands. The light changed, and Ji-hyuk disappeared instantly after signaling a curt goodbye with his eyes. Son of a bitch, acting like he's all that, Minwon muttered to himself, also stepping on the pedal. I'm not going down like this. Does he think I don't know he has eyes on Ji-won? That dirty and pathetic bastard, not even having a conscience. I'm sorry. Really? The hypocrisy just spilling out of his shit-filled mouth. Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. If Ji-won heard what he was saying, she would have asked if he was talking about himself. Okay. Okay. They got to what I was about to say, or I would have got to it, but I couldn't even get that far after reading that. The newlywed couple returned home amid their chilly atmosphere and took care of what they needed to do. They showered, hung up their clothes and hanboks, and replied to the text messages congratulating them on their marriage. The most important order of business was to organize their gift money. Yeon Suk Cho, 200,000 won. That bastard, Jae Young, only gave 200,000 won as well, Minwon said, looking through their gifts. Haesung Park, 100,000 won. What's this? 3,000 won? What kind of punk only paid 3,000 won for the food? Our girl, Hugh Yeon. There was no name on the envelope. Minwon scowled and tore it apart. The next envelope was quite thick. He paused when he discovered a familiar name on the surface. To Suman from Jiwon. I wonder if she even gave 50,000 won. Did you see her wearing those designer clothes today? They didn't even suit her, Suman grumbled mockingly. She snatched the envelope from him and opened it. Her eyes widened when yellow bills poured out onto the white envelopes. 5 million won? Minwon uttered sadly. He didn't know the significance of the money. He probably never would. It was an amount that had decided Jiwon's life or death in the past, and right now it was merely the cost of a bag to her. She could willingly pay this amount as compensation for eliminating 2 pieces of rotten trash from her life. When Jiwon had put the 5 million won in the envelope, she'd muttered to an imaginary Suman, "This is for your cancer. You'll definitely think of this money when you're desperate to pay for surgery. But this money will be non-existent when Minwon's because Minwon will lose it on all stocks." I'll lose it all on stocks. Damn. I mean, that's right. He gonna steal it. His eyes, he's already thinking of how to spend it. You already know he is. He's crunching the numbers. Meow. Pang greeted aloofly when Ji-hyuk opened the door and walked in. Were you waiting for me? Ji-hyuk asked the cat as if it were a person. If people at work had seen this, they would have started retreating in fright. Hang on, I'll take you to Miss Jiwan after changing. The moment he took his shoes off and pushed them aside, he headed straight to his walk-in closet. There were two steam closets. Wow, you imagine having a steam closet? Sorry. Various appliances to organize clothes and shelves for accessories. It was the only room inside the apartment that Pang couldn't enter. Hu Yan always sighed whenever she saw this room. She begged him to throw out the tacky suit he always wore and wear the clothes in here. Ji-hyuk chose a gray tracksuit from a section of his closet that was dedicated to those type of clothes. They were clothes he would wear when holding Pang, in other words. Pang clothes. Meow, meow. Pang scratched at the door impatiently. It was out of character for the cat that was apathetic to everything about life. Don't scratch the door, Gompang. I'll be out soon. After a moment, Ji-hyuk walked outside and then lifted Pang with one hand. Aw. The few steps he took to Ji-won's house always made his heart beat faster. He always took a deep breath in front of the door and wiped at his tidy face. There were times when he thought he was dreaming. Actually, he always thought that. Ji-won lived next door. He could press her doorbell and exchange short but not work-related conversations with her. Ding dong. Not too long after he pressed the doorbell, he heard Ji-won's voice. Just a minute. The tightly shut door opened just enough for one person to step inside. You're here, Pang. Ji-won was also dressed in comfortable clothes. She welcomed Pang into her open arms, and Pang hopped into her embrace, rubbing his head onto her chest. I'm staying at home all day today. Please bring him back whenever it's easy for you, Ji-hyuk said gruffly, taking in the miraculous reality in front of him. You didn't have lunch, right? I'm ordering from Sojak, so you should join me, Ji-won said with a smile. His heart inflated like a balloon at Ji-won's lunch invitation on a weekend afternoon. He hesitantly nodded and took a step inside the front door. The faint scent of shampoo came wafting from Ji-won's hair when she moved aside. It wasn't a miraculous reality. Every moment of reality was a miracle itself. Ji-won was breathing. Her long hair was tied into a ponytail. She smiled at Pang. Ji-won Kang was alive. Aww. Ji-hyuk met Ji-won for the first time on a spring day. It was a day when the last cold spells were passing and the sunlight was becoming warmer. To be exact, he saw her. On that day, the campus was bustling more than normal. Children still looked to be high school students were roaming around the university by themselves or with friends. Ji-hyuk learned later that it was because there was a college fair that day. I want to rest a little. Ji-hyuk avoided his classmates, the first-year students who kept on asking him to play basketball whenever they saw him, and took a back road that he'd never used before. It was a path that most other students didn't use either because of the rampant foliage and bugs. However, there was a person already there. It was a female student who had her shiny hair tied into a ponytail at the nape of her neck. Sparkling eyes behind a pair of thick horned-rimmed glasses were fixed on something. Her long skirt was dragging on the ground because she was hunched over on her feet. The black backpack that hung from her shoulders was so large that she could probably use it to climb the Himalayas. At first, Ji-hyuk was about to turn around and leave, but the female student was looking so intensely inside the grass that he became unusually curious. What are you looking at? He asked. She hushed him when he approached her with the question. She pointed inside the grass. Ji-hyuk also hunched over and looked at where she was pointing. A kitten that was tinier than Ji-hyuk's palm was taking a nap. It was extremely thin, like it hadn't been able to feed from its mother. Dirt covered its white, gray, and black fur. Unfortunately, the small organism didn't hold Ji-hyuk's interest. He looked emotionlessly at the cat for a while and was about to stand up. What stopped him was the small and pitiful cat. What stopped him wasn't the small and pitiful cat, but the young woman's voice. "It must have been abandoned by its mother, too," she whispered. She must have come from the country because she spoke in an awkward dialect. It was neither from Seoul or Gyeongsang Province. However, it strangely suited her. "You can't touch it. Its mom might not return if you do," she quickly added, apparently concerned. Ji-hyuk might pet the kitten. "Can you stay here really quick? I'll go and buy something for it to eat. It looks like it's starving." Ji-hyuk didn't want to stay hunched over to watch the kitten. "Hurry," he said slowly. He really didn't want to stay. "Thank you. I'll be back soon. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere." The female student disappeared after her grateful and earnest request. What was strange was that she didn't even look at him once while she said all this. That attitude might have been offensive to others, but it was comfortable for Ji-hyuk, preferable even. He was already so weary of people flinching when they look up at him and saw his facial expression. The non-prescription glasses he began to wear in high school, when he really started getting tall, only hid a little of his cold and impassive expression from others. Ji-hyuk folded his long legs and leaned against a tree as he silently watched the cat. The cat didn't seem to care about the human observing it and snored while sleeping. "It looks moldy." That was Ji-hyuk's impression of the small and inferior creature. The April sunlight poured through the leaves. The occasional soft breeze carried with it the sounds of the bustling campus. The kitten continued napping. Its ribs were smaller than Ji-hyuk's fingers moving up and down. The female student still hadn't returned. Ji-hyuk's heavy eyelids slowly blinked and eventually shut. It was a sweet nap. When he opened his eyes, the female student was back and hunched over next to him. She didn't realize Ji-hyuk was awake yet. "Eat up, little kitty," she murmured in the softest, most generous voice Ji-hyuk had heard. "Meow." The kitten had good-naturedly approached the female student's ankles. "I'll bring more food tomorrow. Let's meet here, okay?" "Meow." She beamed. "Ah, what a good little kid. What a good little cat. I'm Ji-won Kang. You don't have a name yet, do you?" Ji-hyuk watched her and the cat sleepily, not sure if he was dreaming or not. "I'm sure your mom didn't abandon you. She probably just went hunting. You're so nice and pretty, so there's no way she left you. I'll watch over you until your mom returns." "Meow." "My mom would have come back too if I was pretty like you." Ji-hyuk clearly heard the last statement she uttered like it was a sigh. "Should I tell her she's more than pretty enough? The way your eyes crinkle, it's pretty. Your small nose is pretty. And your smiling lips and petal-like ears are pretty. Your mom not returning has nothing to do with you." The female student suddenly turned around, and Ji-hyuk instinctively pushed his glasses up. "You're awake!" Her voice was formal, contrary to the tone she had just been speaking to the cat with. "Thank you for watching the kitten. Here." Confused, Ji-hyuk held out his hand and took what she handed him. It was a green bill folded 4 times with King Singjong smiling wisely on it. 10,000 won? He asked, taken aback by the unexpected payment. "This is all I have left. I'm sorry." The female student seemed to think that he was shocked because the amount wasn't enough. Ji-hyuk pursed his lips into a thin line. "That's not it. The kitten's mom might not come back if we're here too long. We should go." She wasn't even saying they should go together. She hoisted up the backpack worthy of climbing the Himalayas and disappeared first with a bow. "Meow, meow." The kitten that resembled mold meowed pitifully, apparently upset that she left without saying goodbye. "Quiet. Follow her if you like her that much," Ji-hyuk said bluntly. It was impossible. The cat understood what he said, but the animal raised his head and dashed to Ji-hyuk's feet, biting his shoelaces. It was such a trifling action that it seemed cute. Ji-hyuk subconsciously stretched out his hand, then quickly retracted it. Right, I'm not supposed to touch you, he said. I'm leaving too. Wait for your mom. Meow, the cat replied carelessly, licking its front paws. The girl earlier also spoke to me in a different tone. He felt displeased for some reason. Ji-won Kang. He chewed over the name he secretly heard earlier. It was strange. She was the first girl he'd spoken to so casually for a long time, except for Hugyeon and Yura. He didn't feel any sense of fear or uneasiness. Is she coming again tomorrow? Ji-hyuk decided to return the 10,000 won to her tomorrow around this time. That's the end of chapter 68. Okay, so I like this chapter. I really like the ending because we learn how they met or why he likes her so much and she doesn't realize it. But now we're starting to see why he likes her. He's liked her for a while. Because she's in her late 20s, right? She says she's 27. And he's probably around the same age because they're both in college together. So they're in college in their early 20s. So he's liked her for a while. I liked hearing Minwon getting pissed and Sumin trying to talk shit, but now she got all this money from Jiwon. Cause girl got money, bitch. Y'all broke and together. Cause what did he get? No, he didn't get fired, but he got demoted, right? He got demoted. I don't think he got demoted. Did he? I can't remember. That's terrible, right? I feel like he got demoted, but I may be wrong. I know Mr. Kim got demoted, their shitty boss, but and then Sumin ain't got no job. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but I love that their lives is about to be hell. So here's some of the top comments. The 3,000 won is gift money. Looks like Hugyeon really was there, sneaking in like a thief amidst the chaos. Is that love in the first sight? Ji-hyuk heart Ji-won. Yes, that's what it sounds like. It's always funny seeing casual cursing slang in the web novel narrative after reading the cleaner, more typical narration and dialogue of the webtoon. I also love the subtle details and thought processes revealed in the web novel, as well as the change of phrase that makes it feel like reading something new. Yes. That's why it's so good, and that's why I'm like so addicted, because it's similar but not too similar, and I really like that. Let's see. Last comment. In her previous life, she wanted to go to the doctor because she wasn't feeling well, but scummy hubby gaslighted her and made her believe it wasn't serious until it was too late because he wanted the life insurance payout. Also, earlier in the story, she realized that some events can't be changed, but can be transferred to others. She believes since Sumin is taking her place, she'll probably die pitifully in some way like cancer. Somebody must have just did a recap for somebody. I don't know why she hasn't thought to get a checkup for cancer. She would be able to catch it early. She seems to think that all of that will befall her friend, but that isn't the way things always work. I thought she got checked already, but everybody in the comments is saying she did not. Jiwon, you still need to get checked for cancer. Does he wear horned rim glasses because she did? He started wearing glasses before, but I think he might have transitioned to the horned rim ones because of her. Oh, that's a good catch. And then that is it for chapter 68. We'll be back with chapter 69, which is titled Seed of Fury. I'm not sure what that's going to be, other than maybe Suman faking a miscarriage, but we'll see. All right. Talk to you then. Bye. All right. We're back with chapter 69, Seed of Fury. This place makes good beef tartare. Yan felt a deep satisfaction in emptying the wedding buffet after paying only 3,000 won in her gift money. Then she quietly left. She had succeeded in her small act of revenge, but Minwon was still her work superior. What if she couldn't control her emotions when she saw him? If a video of her pulling and doing the tango with the bride's hair got online, it would be a pain. She was walking in a carefree manner with her hands in her pockets of her slacks. Suddenly, she raised one hand to her forehead and squinted. She could see the back of someone who was taller and more well-built than everyone else. "Oh, it's that guy," she said. "Mr. Bake." Eun-ho stopped walking and turned around. Yeon walked over to him, still walking a little sassily. "Hello, Miss Yu. I didn't know I'd get to see you here." "I went to a wedding. Did you go to that wedding too?" Realizing what wedding she was talking about, Eun-ho smiled wearily. "Yes, I just showed my face." "You must have shown your face too much," Yeon remarked. "You don't look too good." "I was rejected. Again." "Again?" Eun-ho ran a hand over his face and spoke casually. "I'm always getting rejected. My face gets worse every time, I guess." Today, he wasn't rejected directly. He just saw Ji-won shining from far away and Ji-hyuk standing like a statue made just for her. His eyes, which were even colder than a statue's, softened only for Ji-won. When she looked at him, her face was filled with trust. Perhaps that was the reason that he felt rejected. Eun-ho had turned around and left the wedding venue without finding any opportunity to break between them. "You simply don't look your happiest. It's not that you look less handsome," Yeon said in an attempt to comfort him. She pitied him. The two of them were walking side by side in the shade of plane trees. "Am I handsome?" he asked. "You already know that, don't you?" "I do." Eun-ho suddenly stopped. When Yeon paused with him, flustered, his handsome face moved closer to her without any notice. "This might be a bit of an immature question, Miss Yu." Yeon took a step back. "Oh, what? You can't ask someone something after moving your face aside like that." "Is Mr. Yu more handsome than I am?" Eun-ho asked. Yeon snorted. "That's ridiculous. He's not good looking in the slightest. He's just absurdly tall, like a pole that greets you at the entrance of a traditional village." She wrinkled her face, her forehead, and openly expressed her disgust. "This is putting it nicely, but he has nothing going for him other than being tall, well-built, hardworking, and wholesome. Oh, and money. He has some money, but that's it." Eun-ho's face darkened more as he straightened himself. "If he has, as you say, he's the perfect guy." Feeling more apologetic, Yeon tried to speak of Ji-hyuk's flaws. "He doesn't know what humor or jokes are. He's no fun, and he obsesses over tidiness. And he's really strict, too. When I mess up even a little bit, he lowers his voice and says, 'Do you care to explain this, Miss Yu?'" Eun-ho sighed. "He's serious, clean, and good at what he does. I see why he's popular." "I can't tell if he's optimistic or pessimistic." Yeon thought Eun-ho's face still seemed quite depressed. Deciding it was better to leave him alone, she actively tried to flag a taxi down on the road. I have to take a taxi here. I'll leave first. Do you want to ride? He asked. It's fine. Taking a taxi is more comfortable. Goodbye now. She hurried into a taxi that stopped in front of her and waved goodbye. Why was he walking by himself if he had brought his car? She was slightly curious, but she just shook it off. Eunho was a good person. He had expressed his feelings for Jiwon, but he made sure to not cross the line so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. He was also hardworking, coming to work at dawn and staying late every day. He was popular with women due to his pretty face and well-balanced body, but he never made a move. What was more, he was an amazing cook. Word spread of how good his food was to the extent that he sold more desserts than coffee. She was a little excited. She was a little enticed. She thought that someone like Eunho could make her lifesaver happy. He could take the bastard Minwon's spot. Still, I should believe in my brother, she muttered to herself. Ji-hyuk had never asked for anything while they lived together as siblings. He never mentioned anything about work with her either. She had been so surprised when he asked her for help the first time. I like Miss Jiwon. No, I love her. He said that dryly, without any warning or preface. She thought her brother had lost his mind from overworking himself and felt pity for him. Of course, she had to tease him, though. I like Miss Jiwon. No, I love her. She swayed her hips in rhythm with the elongated words. He grabbed her neck to stop her. Help me. I will. So just let go of me. Ji-hyuk finally let go of her neck when she started to writhe and struggle. How do you want me to help you? And why so suddenly? She asked. She thought he was going to ask her to help his relationship with Jiwon or help distance her from Minwon. If he did ask either of those things, she wasn't going to assist him in the slightest. However, he said the next words with the most pained and determined eyes she had ever seen him make in his entire life. I want to make Miss Jiwon happy. Wow. Okay. Wow. Still feel bad for Eunho, but it'll work out for him. He's a catch. Ding dong! The doorbell rang. Jiwon moved in an attempt to remove the purring pang from her knees. Stay here, Ji-hyuk said. I'll get it. He stood up and opened the front door. Recognizing him, the owner of Sojak, Mr. Chow chuckled with embarrassment. Oh dear, I must have gotten the wrong apartment again. No, this is it. What? Mr. Chow extended his neck to look at the apartment next door. He looked inside the apartment behind Ji-hyuk's back again. Huh, you're right. I didn't know you two were close. He had a teasing gleam in his eye as he pulled out a large plate of sweet and sour pork and two bowls of jjajangmyeon. Ji-hyuk contemplated whether he should explain himself, but he just paid for the food instead. There was no need to make excuses to someone who didn't even ask what was going on. I should be serving you, Jiwon made an apologetic face, unable to bring herself to put Pang down. You can do that next time, he said. I'll make sure to pay next time, she added. All right, for now, you can just eat. Ji-hyuk pulled the living room table in front of Jiwon and sat down with their meals. He snapped a pair of wooden chopsticks and rubbed them together along the rim of the jjajangmyeon bowls to remove the plastic covering. Whoa, Jiwon exclaimed as she watched Ji-hyuk take the covering off to use it as a placemat for the utensils. You don't seem like you eat things like this, but you're very skilled at it. Pang's caregiver really likes jjajangmyeon, so I started eating it with them. Mr. Senu? Yes, thanks to him, I ordered from all the Chinese restaurants in this neighborhood, Ji-hyuk said. He brought out some scissors and cut the noodles twice in the same direction. This place is the best. Jiwon blinked, then smiled. I thought my dad was the only person who caught James jajangmyeon like that. Ji Hyuk's hand paused from where he was mixing the jajangmyeon after sprinkling some chili powder on it. He said the seasoning would splatter on your clothes if the noodles were too long, and the noodles in the middle would be too short if you cut them diagonally. Jiwon continued, I guess you can call it his convictions. People only realized the happiness that came from small things when those small things became memories. Sometimes those memories would give way to longing. Jiwon spun the jjajangmyeon that Ji Hyuk had mixed for her onto her chopsticks and lifted it to her mouth, chewing as the longing built up inside her. Those are the convictions of a good person, Ji Hyuk said as he poured Jiwon a drink. Jiwon's eyes widened. How did you know he's a good person? They say children are reflections of their parents. Anyone would think that, when they see you. Oh my gosh, look at him putting the moves. Being sweet. I'm not a good person though. Jiwon's tone was so genuine that Ji Hyuk almost laughed. Aren't you being too harsh on yourself? You're a reflection of your parents. Jiwon was about to deny him again when she closed her mouth. Children were reflections of their parents. If I'm a good person, my dad's also a good person. If I'm a bad person, my dad's a bad person. That means I have to be a good person. I don't know if you're aware of this, Miss Kang. Ji Hyuk raised his hand to stroke Pang's ears. Pang is very fussy about people, but if he likes you a lot, your reputation at work is exceptional as well. I read that weird, huh? Pang is a very fussy about people if he likes you a lot. Oh, but he likes you a lot. Your reputation at work is exceptional as well. There we go. Wow. Me? Jiwon's expression turned astonished. Not at all. I've changed for the better recently, but I couldn't mix with our colleagues just until a few months ago. Everyone must have thought I was strange. They probably thought you were simply hard to approach. If that's what they really thought, you wouldn't have been promoted so quickly and received high scores on your evaluations. Really? Jiwon wondered whether Ji Hyuk was just being nice, but he was serious as always. Aside from the fact he wasn't someone to lie just to be nice anyway. She began to think a little more highly of herself. Slightly embarrassed, she changed the subject. However, her expression was a lot brighter than before. The jjajangmyeon is good. Do you regularly order from this place? Ji Hyuk didn't like salty or oily foods. He had copied Sinu when he unwrapped the jjajangmyeon earlier. Oh, so he lying? Okay. Jjajangmyeon is my third favorite food, he said. Third? What's your first and second? Jiwon tilted her head. That's a secret. However, these carb-filled noodles covered in dark, oily sauce had just become his third favorite food. His first was mixed grain smoothies, and his second was pork and rice soup. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he just likes what G1 likes, but he actually the one thing he likes is mixed grain smoothies. I love so you know what? I'll leave it to the end what I'm about to say. Let me just remind myself. Mental note. Okay. Opa, I want to go outside. Since they technically hadn't gotten married after all, since they technically had gotten married after all, Minwon and Sumin found a place for their honeymoon trip. It was nice at first, but Sumin was bored beyond measure after being pent up inside the hotel for over a day. She playfully rubbed his shoulders. Go out by yourself, he said. I'm carrying a baby. Also, how can I roam around by myself here? Then go and swim or something. Don't touch me. Minwon pushed her aside, his eyes still fixed on a bunch of graphs on his laptop. I'm busy. This is how you're going to be? Her voice filled with frustration. Should I tell father now? Should I tell him that you used the money he gave us for an apartment on stocks? Suman. Ow, my stomach. Suman moaned, holding her belly. Oh my gosh, this bitch. Not even able to shout anymore, Minwan tightly gripped the mouse he was about to throw and looked at the graphs instead. It was a critical time to buy shares. Okay, just stay by yourself for a little bit. I'm not choosing to do this during our trip. Just for myself, am I? You've been saying that since yesterday, Suman whined. We've We're going to go home the day after tomorrow. Why did you even come if you're going to be like this? I said we should go on a honeymoon after you give birth. You're the one who said we have to go now, he snapped back. People think People think I dragged you here by the ear if they heard you say that. Why would you have acted like this if you were here with Jiwon? She asked mockingly on the bed, giving up on acting cute now. He glowered at her. Why would you bring her up now? Jiwon. He wasn't the only one unable to escape from her shadow. Suman thought about Jiwon all day, to be exact. She thought about the Jiwon who brought something even better the moment Suman thought she had stolen. Suman thought about Jiwon all day, to be exact. She thought about the Jiwon who brought something even better the moment Suman thought she had stolen Jiwon's most special person. Yeah, I guess we don't need to talk about her since she's already switched lanes over to Mr. Yu, Suman said. The two of them seems so pretty lovely-dovey. Oh my gosh, I'm fucking up left and right today. Yeah, I guess we don't need to talk about her since she already switched lanes for Mr. Yu, Suman said. The two of them were so lovey-dovey with each other. What would you know? Ji-hyuk Yu is the one trying to come on to Jiwon. Jiwon would never accept a guy like that. Even if she does, she's only doing that temporarily because she's still in pain over me. Minwon shouted nonsensically. He was unshaven, wearing only boxers. Suman recalled the words G.A. had whispered in her ear. Congratulations on picking up your friend's trash, Suman. The trash Jiwon threw out, Suman did her best to deny that the man she had stolen using all kinds of schemes was just yesterday's trash. Suman had known about Minwon before she came to Seoul. Just like when Jiwon had happily talked about Eunho, she excitedly described Minwon as a good-looking colleague at work. Suman squealed and told her to continue seeing him, committing all the information Jiwon gave her to memory. It was so she could steal that man someday. If she couldn't, she would split them apart. Jiwon was probably the one to flirt with him first. That's the kind of girl she is. Her true nature hasn't changed at all, Suman lamented. Bitch. Minwan's eyes shook with uncertainty. Suman sighed, pretending to be tentative. She always complained to me that she could have met Mr. Yu first. She should have met Mr. Yu first. Shut up. Jiwon wouldn't say that. She said she didn't imagine you would stay as section chief for so long. She said she would have had an easier life and a work life and gotten married easy. Okay. She said she didn't imagine you would stay as section chief for so long. She said she would have had an easier work life and gotten married faster if she was with Mr. Yu, Suman continued. I didn't know she was actually going to do it, though. Hoping Minwon would ruin Jiwon's life at work, Suman looked down like she felt pity for him. I'll tell you the truth, she said. I approached you because Jiwon asked me to. Then I fell in love with you for real. Oh my God, this bitch. Oh, it's always something. Because Jiwon wasn't all sad and shit. Here she come, trying to come for her again. Like, damn, like, girl, you're on your honeymoon. Fucking worry about your honeymoon. Go out and do some shit. You're at home You're in the hotel room while your lame ass fucking husband, I was gonna say fiance, lame ass husband is gambling all his money on stocks. Like, bro, really? And then Ji Hyuk, that's what I wanted to save. Ji Hyuk, I'm gonna need him to get a little bit more personality. Okay. He really is. I like him, but he's starting to remind me of like a pillar. Like like Hugh Yeon said, like he's a pillar. There's like no personality to him. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm sure he will get a personality eventually. But he's sweet and he's nice and everything else, so that makes up for it. But I guess it's because he never really got to do that, I suppose. But oh well, I'm not gonna badmouth Ji Hyuk anymore. I'm just saying I want him to be a little more like open up a little bit more. Let's read some of the comments. Every time I think Sumin has reached rock bottom of the barrel of nastiness, she pulls out yet another worse surprise. True. His favorite foods are the ones Jiwon gave him. He's so sweet to her. Why this bitch so obsessed with Jiwon when she should be worrying about her in-laws finding out about her fake pregnancy? Thank you. So now I know it's Seed of Fury. It's Sumin planting the seed of fury in Minwon for him to go and blow up at work at Jiwon about something. It's not going to happen. That's not going to work. But that's the end of chapter 69. Chapter 70 is called Love and Hate. And I'll be right back with that. Bye. All right, and we're back with chapter 70, Love and Hate. I'm not wrong. Suman thought as she observed Minwon with sad eyes. Jiwon was the one who had bragged about Minwon first. What kind of fool would brag about having a shiny gold bar at her house? Wasn't she practically advertising to have it stolen? Bullshit! Jiwon would have told me that herself if she wanted to break up with me. Why would she ask you to do that? Minwon said vehemently, denying it, except that attitude only made him seem even more affected by Suman's words. She had to do that to switch over to Mr. Yu. Suman wrapped her tiny hands around her face and looked up. What do you think would happen if she broke up with you without any reason and started dating Mr. Yu? How would she manage the backlash at work? She only looks like a fool on the outside. She's actually calculating on the inside. Minwon stomped over to the window and thrust the curtain closed. The bright room became filled with a dark gray. He stood there quietly for a moment and thought, and then turned around. Fine. Let's say Jiwon really asked you to do that. Why did you do it? Suman already had an answer prepared for that. Jiwon said if things went well with Mr. Yu, I would have a connection to the department head too. Jiwon always pulled me around since we were young, so I couldn't help but do the same this time. I waited for you in your car because Jiwon told me to. I went to meet your parents because Jiwon called me. I did everything she asked, but that isn't everything. Oh, geez. Suman stood from the bed and approached Minwon. She wrapped her arms around his waist and leaned against his chest. He was frozen with shock. She could hear his heartbeat under his firm chest muscles, and the scent of his cologne was still sweet. I didn't pick up Jiwon's trash. I stole what she considered dear. You need to be hated, despised, and resented by this person. She brainwashed herself into believing it. I've liked you since the first moment I saw you. I worked hard to become a full-time employee because I wanted to stay at the company where you work, she said. So when Jiwon asked me to seduce you, I was secretly happy. Don't make me laugh. You just need someone to latch onto because you don't have Ji-young-uk anymore, Minwon growled. No, Oppa. That was really a misunderstanding. Minwon moved to shove Suman off. Feeling the push, she tightly clutched the robe he was wearing and looked up. It's true. It's true that I was close to Jiok-uk, she continued. I had to do that to be near you if I became full-time, but I realized that wasn't all I wanted. No matter how much I hovered around you, you were always looking at Jiwon. Even if you were next to me, your heart was with her. When actually, Jiwon was the one. She was the one too. Suman took a deep breath, then continued to take 3 more breaths and squeezed her eyes. Squeezed her eyes together as she said her next words. She threw a fit and told me to get pregnant if that was what it took to get you away from her. Minwon was silent for a moment. What he had heard just didn't connect to his brain. To get pregnant, if that's what it takes? Say that again? She told you to what? The sickening look dropped from her large eyes again. I I love you so much. She once said if I didn't do that, she would tell you I approached you on purpose. I hate this hoe. He didn't want to believe it. It shouldn't even be something he needed to consider. Minwon crushingly gripped Suman's shoulders and shouted at her, Speak properly. You got pregnant on purpose? If it was a lie, when you said it was okay because you were on the pill. Suman's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. She said I could marry you if I did. She said I could marry you if I did that. She said it would be good for both of us if I married you because she could meet Mr. Yu freely. I was grasping at straws, so I did what she asked. Minwon felt anxious that she was going to say something that was more dreadful than everything she'd said so far. She opened and closed her mouth hesitantly for a while. Then she finally spoke her last confession. I had a miscarriage. Minwon's hands fell slack. A miscarriage? After they moved out of his parents' home and had a wedding with all his relatives gathered? When? He asked, his shock and anger mixing to become an icy tone. Suman flinched at Minwon's unexpected reaction. She shook her wet eyelashes even more pitifully. The day after meeting Jiwon at the hospital. Suman plopped down on the bed and began to sob openly. Jiwon took me to the hospital room and forced me on my knees. I must have hit something wrong because it was so painful, she said. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. That man shouted furiously at me and cursed as soon as he saw me. I was so scared. But then the next day I was bleeding. And when I went to the hospital, they told me I lost the baby. Minwon had seen Suman on her knees back then. He had pretended not to notice. He pulled at his hair, feeling like he was going to explode from betrayal and rage. Why would you tell me this now? You should have told me back then. Fuck! Damn it! How could I tell you? Father and mother were looking forward to everything. How could I say your baby died? How could I? She sobbed breathlessly and pleaded as she gripped his clothes. Pretend you didn't hear this, Oppa, please. Jiwon said she'd help with your promotion through Mr. Yu. We're married now. We can have another baby, right? Shut up! You disgust me. He shoved her hands off his clothes. You went on and on every day about how your stomach hurts and what you want to eat, but you weren't even pregnant. You did all that and we got married. You blame Jiwon, but you're the same. No, you're even worse. What else can we do now? We're a couple, Suman said. It hasn't even been that long since we got married. You're really going to divorce me? That was what Minwon wanted to do. If only he could return to the moment he stamped the papers. No, to the day he offered to give Suman a ride home. He would sell his soul. He shook his head. Divorce? That's too easy to say. That doesn't exist in my household. We already got married with all of my relatives present. Fuck. Are you regretting getting married to me? Suman asked in a sad voice. It would have been worse if you had married Jiwon. She told me to seduce and switch over to Mr. Yu. When he seemed to have a brighter future, she probably would have done the same even after getting married. Then you would have really become divorced. She took in a shaky breath, then continued, I I don't resent her. Thanks to her, I met you and we're married. I don't need money or rank at work. I just need you. The person who really loves you and cares for you isn't Jiwon. It's me, Oppa. Her touching and desperate confession didn't move him in the slightest. An illusion of Jiwon and Ji-hyuk walking together like they were actors on a red carpet flashed in front of his eyes. He imagined cutting off that arm that was confidently raised on Jiwon's shoulders, which were something only he could touch. Jiwon Kang, he muttered through gritted teeth. He was in a combination of disbelief and fury. Man, Suman is so fucking vile. I cannot stand her. Okay. Jiwon reveled in the peace of Minwon being out on vacation. She had already blocked his number, the only way he could contact her. Their workplace messaging system showed his name as gray, meaning he was absent. The hardest thing for her was to hide her joy at work. Since they got married, he should be resigning soon. She glanced at Minwon's empty seat. In her past life, Minwon resigned to become a full-time investor after he made it big with stocks. However, Jiwon was the only person to see profits through stocks this time around. Minwon needed another reason to quit, and she had to find it. If she couldn't find it, she would have to make up one before the fate of quitting was directed to someone else. She repeatedly went through the process of creating and dropping various plans in her head. What should I do? What kind of trap should I set? How do I fix things if fate changes because I did something wrong? Ring ring, the cheerful sound of the office phone shook her from her thoughts. Before Jiwon could answer the phone, Hugh Yeon picked it up first. That was the quick-witted, beloved youngest member of their office for you. This is UNK Food Marketing Department 1. Are you calling for someone? Hello? It was the voice of a young woman, but she was speaking English. Hugh Yeon frowned, looked at the phone, and then answered kindly. Hi. The caller went silent. Hugh Yeon spoke again slowly. Hello? Is Miss Kang there? This time the caller spoke in perfectly fluent Korean. It was a familiar voice. May I ask who this is and what you're calling from? And where you're calling from? You don't need to know. I asked if Section Chief Jiwon Kang was there. It was basic etiquette to introduce yourself before asking for someone else. This woman randomly started speaking English and was asking for Hugh Yeon's precious lifesaver. Instantly realizing something was up, Hugh Yeon spoke in an extremely businesslike and cold tone. You dialed the wrong number, Hugh Yeon said. What? Isn't this UNK? It is, but you dialed the wrong number. Good luck. Hugh Yeon quickly slammed the phone down before the caller could speak again. What a weird woman. Jiwon spoke up from where she was listening to the strange conversation. What kind of call was that? Good luck? I don't know. She didn't even introduce herself and started speaking English looking for you, so I told her she had the wrong number. Do you know anyone you'd get those kind of calls from? Not at all. She is a really weird person. Jiwon wondered if Suman was scheming something again, but she couldn't know anything for sure with this single call. Still, if she calls again, give the phone to me. I'll answer it and decide what to do. Yes, Miss Kang. Sorry. Hugh Yeon quickly realized her mistake and bowed in apology. At the same time, she tried to think of where she had heard this voice before, but she was coming up blank. Maybe she was wrong when she thought the voice sounded familiar. We know who it is. We know who it is. It's that psycho that picked up Jiwon's card when she seen Minwon when he was in the US. On Monday morning, a loud and clear greeting rang in the office of the marketing department, where everyone was suffering from Monday morning syndrome. I'm back from my vacation. I apologize for being absent from work. It was a shamelessly confident greeting for someone who had married his colleague, his superior's lover, and his girlfriend's friend. The employees all politely greeted Minwon back and then left for the break room. Went to went to print something, or started to powerfully tap their keyboards as if they didn't hear anything else, if they didn't have anything else to do. Minwon didn't let the atmosphere affect him. He spoke brightly to Joran as he sat down. Miss Yang, you took care of my task when I was gone, right? I'm sorry. Yes, I'll organize the current progress on the task and send you an email by the afternoon, Joran said indifferently without a hint of warmth. Joran could give Ji-hyuk a run for his money when it came to differentiating between work and personal matters, but she couldn't bring herself to be cordial to Minwon. She couldn't ignore him completely. She had decided to maintain a fully businesslike relationship with him. In fact, everyone in the office was determined to do the same. Due to this decision, the department mood was more uncomfortable than ever. It hadn't even been that bad when Ji Jong-uk was manager. Minwon had spent the rest of his vacation nearly drowning in alcohol. He called Jiwon hundreds of times, but of course, none of them ever connected. In the meantime, all kinds of delusions filled Minwon's head like they were real. The resentment Sumin had planted in him devoured those delusions. They began to grow like a storm cloud during a monsoon. Then, when dawn came after the last day of his time off, Minwon stilled his resolve. Jiwon Kang, since you used Sumin to ruin me, I'll use Ji-hyuk to ruin you. That's not going to work, honey. But nice try. So, Frick and Frack are at it again. Like, bro, work. Just work, okay? Work, find another job. You ruined everything there. If you're uncomfortable there because you ruined it, get over it. Either find a new job or suck it up. It's nobody's fault but your own. You shouldn't even have let Sumin, you let Sumin seduce you like she was, like she says she was told to do. That's your own fault. You stuck your dick in her. Nobody told you to do it. Pathetic piece of shit. And then Yura, we know that's Yura. She has Jiwon's work number. Did she call her? She did something before, didn't she? I feel like she did something before. Or maybe it was just, I know she did something with Hugh Yeon, but I don't know if she did something with Jiwon or not. But anyways, let's read some of the comments. Just how dumb must you be to fall for every lie of Sumin? I'm curious to know if the fact that he's sterile will impact this timeline too, and what kind of lie Sumin will think to justify her first pregnancy. He's going to play matchmaker for Jiwon out of spite with someone he doesn't know has a massive crush on her. Right, exactly. Exactly. Like, bro, that's not going to work. I think the call was from that childhood friend that he ran into in the States, and she kept Jiwon's business card that he dropped. Yep, that is who it is. It must be exhausting to be terrible humans and dumb. Sumin and Minwon deserve each other. Can't wait to see how further they ruin each other's lives. Yeah, idiots. But that's the end of these 5 chapters. Very, very, very good. Very, very good. Which chapter was your favorite? Mine was the wedding when uh balls got together with Sumin to ruin it. That was my favorite part. Second favorite part, Jiwon Jiwon and Ji Hyuk showing up like a power couple, a sexy Hollywood power couple. Sumin getting egg on her face by Jiwon and her childhood balls. But yeah, those are my favorites from these 5 chapters. If you had any, please let me know what they are. You know what? I haven't said what, if you like the chapter, what emoji to use. Dang. For this one, I don't think they have a dunce emoji, do they? Because these 2 idiots are stupid. But I don't know. Maybe the one with the long nose, like the mask with the long nose, because they always lying. But yeah. That's it for now. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other videos. And I will see you next time. Bye.